Hi, my name is John McDonald. I'm a Maine humorist and storyteller, and this story I've been telling for over 30 years. I first told this story back in 1980 at the Grand Theater in Ellsworth, Maine. They were putting on a show with Kendall Morse and Marshall Dodge, and Marshall had asked that maybe a local storyteller be part of the show to add to it, and so the people at the Grand asked me if I could do it, and I said, yeah, I can. Well, the three of us were sitting up on stage, passing the microphone up and down, and we were there for quite a while, and I started running out of stories, and I remembered this old story, and I just it was not a Maine story, but I was thinking of how I could set it in Maine, and I did that, and well, here's how it came out. Tukey Merrill always wanted what he called a city job. He answered an ad in the paper for a company looking for a door-to-door salesman for a line of kitchen utensils. He'd been a clammer, he'd been wormer, he'd been cutting pulpwood, but he wanted a sales job. He thought that would be a little more dignified, so he went for the interview, and after the interview, they told him he had the job. His territory would be the entire state of Maine. Now, the idea was for him to start at a place near his house on the first day, work his way around the state, and at the end of the week, he'd go home for the weekend. Well, his first day on the job, he loaded his sample cases into the car, drove to a town about 30 miles away, checked into a motel, went out and did his first day selling. After a long, ragged day of selling, he came back to his motel and called home. Wanted to make sure everything was all right back there. His brother, Liston, answered the phone. "Hi, Liston. How's everything back there in Cherryfield?" he said. "Oh," Liston said, "everything's okay, I guess. Oh, by the way, your cat's dead." Well, the cat that he so bluntly reported dead was no ordinary cat. It happened to be a prize Maine Coon. It was probably the most valuable thing that Tukey owned. Tukey was some upset by the report of the cat's demise. He said, "Liston, I just want you to know you have probably ruined my entire selling trip, giving me such bad news on the first day out." "Well, how should I have told you? I thought you should know about your cat." "Well, yes, I should know about my cat." He said, "but when someone's going to be on the road a week and they call back the first night and you have some bad news, you don't hit them between the eyes all at once with the bad news. You say, 'Then how should I have told you?'" said Liston. "Look, when someone's going to be on the road a week, they call back the first night to see how things are. You say something like, 'Your cat's up on the roof and she won't come down.' That way I don't worry. I know she's been on the roof before. Next night when I call, you say, 'Well, we got your cat off the roof, but we dropped her on her back and damaged her vertebrae.' A little more serious. But I still think she'll pull through." Next night, you say something like, "Your cat's at the vet." Next night, you say, "She's in a coma." And the last night, just before I come home, you say, "Your cat died quietly in her sleep last night. It was a beautiful death. The whole family was gathered around her little cat bed. It was very touching." That's how you break bad news to someone who's going to be on the road a week. You understand? "Yes," said Liston, and he was all apologetic. Well, they hung up. Next morning, Tukey gets up, drives to the next town, checks into a motel, went out and did his next day's selling, comes back to the motel and calls home. Again, Liston answered. "Hi, Liston," said Tukey. "How's things back home?" "Oh, they're okay, I guess," said Liston. "That's good," said Tukey. "And how's Mother?" "Well," said Liston, "she's up on the roof and she won't come down."